There cannot be a business in the world where there are more awards than show business. And nothing gets more attention than the Oscars, obviously. But as the industry has matured and more great films have come from more producers outside of the Hollywood system, more awards have popped up to recognize the wealth of good cinema from around the world. While there are other events like the Oscars in other countries where industry-wide players vote, there are now lots of awards handed out by peer groups like the guilds, by critics groups, by film festivals, and fan groups. Some years there are clear favorite films that dominate the predictions and then the actual wins. Sometimes it's particular actors or directors that win and win again. Some years are harder to predict. Every year, a post-mortem follows all the big awards shows, and lists of surprises and snubs make the news, and people will ask if X should really have won over Y. The Sundance Film Festival, which takes place in January, annually kicks off another year of awards eligibility for some films. It's a long road from it to when those films might end up with Oscars, sometimes 15 months off. And as Sundance programs only independently made films that normally don't have much of an ad budget behind them, those films are often forgotten by awards time. Some years, critics will rev up the Oscar buzz at Sundance nevertheless. And in 2017, the buzz went big, really big, for a little film called Call Me By Your Name. Sundance gives out awards. Not every festival has them. And Sundance is one of those festivals where the films have to play in a certain program to be eligible for the awards. Call Me By Your Name did not play in that program at Sundance, but its reception by critics and audiences eclipsed that of the competing films. Next was the Berlinale, 3 weeks later, but again, Call Me By Your Name screened outside of the main competition. The press continued its love affair with the film there anyway, and some pundits subsequently wondered why the film hadn't been held for the competition at the Cannes Film Festival that year, where, it was speculated, it might have beaten The Square for the Palme d'Or. Call Me By Your Name had been screened for Sony Pictures Classics just before Sundance, and they had bought it right away, planning to release it in the summer of 2017 after a few more festival screenings. Based on the press and audience reaction at Sundance and Berlin, however, Sony canceled plans for the summer release so to position it for Oscar season via a berth at the Toronto International Film Festival in September, and then at a spate of following fall festivals. Call Me By Your Name now holds the record, 10 minutes, for the longest sustained standing ovation at the New York Film Festival, and it began to pick up more nominations and awards and attention as the run-up to the Oscars wore on, ending up with enough awards that it has a second, separate Wikipedia page dedicated solely to tracking the accolades the film picked up, listing 231 nominations, 74 of them wins, last time I checked. The attention meant that critics were predicting a slew of Oscar nominations, possibly 8. Picture, director, screenplay, cinematography, actor, possibly 2 supporting actor nominations, song, and maybe even a 9th nom for editing. As more Oscar bait films are released close to the end of the year, though, it gets tougher to reward every deserving effort with a nomination, and people start arguing about snubs when their favorites don't make the lists. So, not all of Call Me By Your Name's predicted nominations came to be, but most of the film's major players were nominated by some group or other for something. You can read up about all the nominations on Wikipedia, and most players got at least one win. Let's look at the various players, and let's start with director Luca Guadagnino. He notched Best Director nominations from 14 groups, not from the Academy, and won the award from the Los Angeles Film Critics Association, tying with Guillermo del Toro, to whom he lost most of the other directing nominations for del Toro's work on The Shape of Water. Sayambu Muktipram, the celebrated Thai cinematographer whom Guadagnino sought out, received 7 nominations for Best Cinematography and won it at the Independent Spirit Awards. Walter Fasano, Guadagnino's longtime editor, was nominated for 5 Best Editing Awards and won a Golden Siac and Nastro d'Argento, both from Italy. Sufjan Stevens was nominated 7 times, including at the Oscars, and won Best Song for Mystery of Love from the Gold Derby Awards and at the David Di Donatello's. Michael Stuhlbarg, whom a lot of critics figured was a shoo-in for an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor, was snubbed, but he got 21 other nominations that year and won Best Supporting Actor from the Dorian Awards and from the International Cinephile Society, while the San Diego Film Critics Society honored him for a body of work which also included The Shape of Water and The Post that year. Armie Hammer picked up 20 nominations in the same category, but he didn't win any of them. He did pick up a Texas Film Hall of Fame award that year, which Timothée Chalamet handed to him, and a Savannah Film Festival Outstanding Achievement Award for his work in 4 films that year, also including Sorry to Bother You, Hotel Mumbai, and On the Basis of Sex. Speaking of Timothée Chalamet, he wasn't nominated 21 times, he won 21 times out of 49 nominations in 2 categories, Best Actor and Breakthrough Actor. Best Actor hardware came from 7 critics groups, fan groups the International Cinephile Society and the Gold Derby Awards, and industry segment groups the Dorian Awards and the Independent Spirit Awards. Breakout Actor wins came from 8 critics groups, the Dorian Awards, and 2 film festivals. Chalamet may not have won the Oscar. He was the youngest nominee in 78 years. But this was a year when most Best Actor awards were going to veteran Gary Oldman, who didn't have an Oscar yet. Many awards voters felt he was due it for his portrayal of Winston Churchill in some film or other. Hell. Oldman was good, but Darkest Hour was not that great a film. With the 21 other awards, though, Chalamet took home a lot of bling for that amazing performance as Elio Perlman nevertheless. Speaking of the Oscars, the one Academy Award that Call Me By Your Name did win from its 4 nominations was for its adapted screenplay by James Ivory. Ivory, at 89 years old, became the oldest competitive Oscar winner ever. He immortalized that moment wearing a shirt with Chalamet's Elio likeness on it, but it was only one of 15 trophies he picked up out of 29 nominations for his esteemed script. It won all the big awards for adapted screenplays that year, also coming from the BAFTAs, the British Academy of Film Awards, the Writers Guild of America, 7 critics groups, 1 film festival which also recognized Guadagnino's contributions to the script, 2 fan groups, and the USC Scripter Award, which also recognized author Andre Aciman for his source novel, while finally Italy's David Di Donatello Awards recognized Luca Guadagnino and Walter Fasano, along with Ivory, in this category. It's notable that certain groups also spread the screenplay love by recognizing the contributions of the editor and director. Essentially, all of the screenplay awards recognized how well a beloved book had been translated, even with many changes, so well to the screen. Which is the sort of recognition that leads to Best Picture nominations. And Call Me By Your Name got plenty of those, 76 in fact, from sources across the film world. It won Best Film at 10 film festivals and from 5 critics groups. It found itself on top 10 films of the year lists from the American Film Institute, the National Board of Review, and the New York Film Critics Online, 3 groups who, maybe wisely, do not single out a lone winner. At the European Film Awards, it picked up the People's Choice Best European Film. It also got the Golden Tomato for a limited release from Rotten Tomatoes, recognizing it as the best reviewed film of the year. The top 3 film fan groups from around the world all picked Call Me By Your Name as their film of the year, including the International Cinephile Society, the Gold Derby Awards, which is the world's top site for awards junkies, and Letterboxd, the world's premier social networking community for film lovers, where the film was the best reviewed of 2017. It even won some awards that you might not have guessed existed. I hadn't. They include 2 awards won by Robin Erdine, Call Me By Your Name's music supervisor. She won for Best Music Supervision of a Film budgeted under $5 million from the Guild of Music Supervisors, recognizing the superb work of tying Call Me By Your Name's exceptional soundtrack together. She also won for supervision of a song recorded for a film, Sufjan Stevens' Mystery of Love. I'll be talking more about the film's music in another video. Finally, Call Me By Your Name also won the Golden Trailer for Best Romance Film Trailer and the Golden Siak for Best Film Poster. It all adds up to Call Me By Your Name likely being the most honored film around the world in 2017-18, even if it only took home 1 Oscar. To wrap up all the acclaim the film received, I'll circle back to the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, whose members vote on the Academy Awards. 5 members of the Call Me By Your Name cast and crew were invited to join the Academy a few months after the awards in June of 2018. They were Timothée Chalamet to the actors branch, Luca Guadagnino to the directors branch, Sayambu Muktipram to the cinematographers branch, Walter Fasano to the editors branch, and Sufjan Stevens to the music branch. James Ivory was already a member. There are too many films competing for singular prizes to recognize all of the excellence out there every year. Theoretically, any film nominated for a prize is worthy of it, or it wouldn't have made the nominations list in the first place. And people will also complain about all the worthy films and performances and work that should have been nominated but weren't. Awards, therefore, can only recognize a portion of the love and admiration a film will garner, and in the end, it's up to every film viewer to choose their own favorites every year. But it is fun to see who goes home with which prizes. I have more videos coming up. Next, I'm looking at how music was used to build the mood and setting of Call Me By Your Name, and in particular, what it added to our understanding of Elio. See you again soon.